Hi, I'm Caspian from Strumtree, and today I'm going to show you how to get clear sounding chords on the guitar. So I'm sure as a beginner guitarist we've all had the experience of trying to play a chord, just hear buzzy notes and none of the strings are sounding clear. We can only hear one or two strings clearly. Now there's actually quite a few things that could cause this. So in this video I'm going to take you through step by step to figure out how to get those chords sounding nice and clear. So fuzzy chords can be caused by a few things. For example, your fingers might be too far back this way towards the headstock of the guitar, and you go to play a chord and it sounds like this. If you've ever heard that before, it's likely that your finger is way back in the fret on this side, where it actually needs to be close to right above the fret line towards this end. So I've played the G chord and it sounds nice and clear now, and before my fingers were back here, and it sounds really buzzy. The closer your finger is to the fret line, the lighter your touch can be. So you don't have to press so hard back here, you can actually press a bit lighter down here. So if you've tried moving your fingers a little bit closer to the fret line, but you're still getting a buzz, we can look at a few other things. For example, you want your fingernails on your left hand to be short. If you've got long nails, it's going to be really hard to hold down the string on the fretboard. And also, when you place your fingers down, you want them to be arched over, almost like a claw, like this. You don't want them to be flat like this, because my fingers are flat right now, playing the G chord. And even though they're close to the fret line here, the skin of my fingers are actually touching the other strings, muting them like this. So you need to get used to curving your fingers over like that. And that way you can just have the tips of your fingers with a nice arched shape, holding down the strings. Let's play the D chord for an example. Now with the D chord you strum the bottom 4 strings, 1, 2, 3, 4. But you might have something that sounds a bit like this. It's kind of a buzzy sound, you can't really hear what's going on. Now there's a great way to figure out what exactly it is that's gone wrong. And all that is you pluck one string at a time in that chord. So have the D chord with your left hand, and then with your right hand, you want to start from, you skip the top 2 strings, so you start from the 3rd string down, pluck one string at a time in the D chord. That one sounds okay. That one sounds okay. That one sounds okay. Oh, nowhere. That last one there, the E string, that sounds all muffled and fuzzy. So now we know which string is the problem string. We've diagnosed it. So let's have a look. What am I doing wrong? What's actually happening is my ring finger is too flat, that it's muting that E string at the bottom there. So I need to arch my fingers over a little bit more. You can see just a slight change in the positioning of my fingers. Changes from this buzz to this clear sound. So that could be another thing that's going wrong with whatever chord you're playing. Now another thing that is really important when you arch your fingers over to play chords is to make sure you still have a straight wrist, because some people, they get that sort of claw shake with their hands and they're getting a nice clear sound like this. They're playing their G chord. Well, look at my wrist, it's totally bent. Now you don't want to play guitar with a bent wrist, because that will hurt you after a while, and you can get an RSI, repetitive strain injury, from playing your chords like this for too long. So how do I fix the bent wrist problem? Well, have a look. It's all to do with the position of the thumb. So at the moment, my thumb is right in the middle there and my wrist is bent. But if I straighten my thumb out this way along the neck, that frees up a bit of space for my wrist to straighten up. So you can move your thumb back this way a little bit and the wrist straightens out. Now it can still be a little bit difficult to get that arch over and the straight wrist, in which case it might be a good idea to play easier versions of that chord to begin with. So with the G chord as our example, instead of playing a 3-finger G chord, start by playing a 1-finger G chord, where you just have your ring finger in the 3rd fret of that E string, and then you can keep your straight wrist and strum just the bottom 4 strings, and you get a nice clear sounding G chord. This can be a great start. And in the example of the C chord that we did before, this is a very challenging chord for a lot of new players. You might want to start with a 2-fingered C chord or even a 1-fingered C chord. If you're doing a 1-fingered C chord, just strum the bottom 3 strings. So your fingers should be nice and arched over in the first fret of the B string. Strum those bottom 3 strings. Practice getting those 3 strings each sounding clear. And then you can try the 2-fingered C chord, where you put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, that's the next step, and strum the bottom 4 strings. There you go. Nice clear sounding chords. Focus on getting all of them sounding clear before you try the hard one, and then eventually you can work on developing that stretch with your ring finger over time, and make sure that you don't get this buzzy sound. You're going to need to work on moving your fingers into that arched shape. And this comes with practice over time as you strengthen your fingers and gain more flexibility. I hope that was helpful today, and hopefully by now you're able to figure out how to get your chords sounding a little clearer. Keep practicing bit by bit and diagnose one string at a time to find out what the problem string is, and then you can figure out what the problem is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.